I will never look at mountain houses the same way after this. The events that transpired over that fateful weekend have forever altered my perception of these seemingly serene retreats. What was supposed to be a peaceful escape turned into a nightmare that still haunts my dreams. This is going to blow your mind. The story of Simon and Mara is not just a tale of terror, but a chilling reminder of the unknown forces that lurk in the shadows, waiting to be discovered by the unsuspecting. Simon and Mara, eager for an escape from the city, rented the infamous Black Hollow for a weekend. They had heard rumours about the place, whispers of strange occurrences and eerie happenings, but they dismissed them as mere folklore. They were looking forward to a quiet weekend, away from the hustle and bustle of city life. From the moment they arrived, the air seemed thicker, colder, as if the house itself was alive. The trees surrounding the property seemed to close in on them, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching out. The first night was silent, almost too silent. The kind of silence that makes you feel like you're being watched. Then Simon heard a whisper. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it was there. He strained his ears, trying to make out the words. It seemed to be coming from beneath the floorboards. "Find me," it said. The voice was soft, almost childlike, but there was an edge to it that sent chills down his spine. "From beneath the floorboards. Find me," it said. Simon's heart raced as he tried to rationalize what he had heard. Maybe it was just the wind, or perhaps the old house settling, but deep down he knew it was something more. Mara woke to find Simon staring in terror at the cracked floor. She could see the fear in his eyes, and it unnerved her. Simon was not easily scared, but this was different. He told her about the whisper, and she felt a cold shiver run down her spine. Suddenly, footsteps echoed from the hallway. They were slow, deliberate, and seemed to be getting closer. Simon and Mara held their breath, their eyes fixed on the doorway. The footsteps stopped just outside their room, and for a moment there was silence. A dark liquid seeped through the cracks, smelling of rust and decay. It pooled on the floor, its metallic scent filling the room. Simon and Mara exchanged a horrified glance. What was this substance, and where was it coming from? Summoning courage, they pried open the trapdoor to the cellar. The hinges creaked, and a gust of cold air rushed up to meet them. The darkness below seemed to beckon them, and despite their fear, they knew they had to investigate. Descending with a flickering lantern, they saw carvings of ancient rituals on the rough stone walls. The symbols were unfamiliar, but they radiated a sense of foreboding. It was as if the walls themselves were trying to tell them something, a warning from the past. At the centre, an iron chair bolted to the ground held a life-size doll. The doll was old, its clothes tattered and its face cracked, but it was the eyes that caught their attention. They were made of glass, but they seemed almost lifelike, as if they were watching them. Its glass eyes seemed too lifelike, too aware. Simon and Mara felt a sense of dread wash over them. The doll seemed to be more than just an inanimate object. It felt like it had a presence, a consciousness. It stared and mouthed, "You found me." The words were barely audible, but they were clear. Simon and Mara recoiled in horror. How could a doll speak? What kind of dark magic was at play here? The cellar door slammed shut. The sound echoed through the cellar, and Simon and Mara were plunged into darkness. Panic set in as they realized they were trapped. The lantern sputtered and died. The darkness was absolute, and they could hear their own breathing, rapid and shallow. They fumbled in the dark, trying to find a way out. But the cellar seemed to have a mind of its own. Darkness engulfed them, as whispers grew into a chilling cacophony. The voices were all around them, whispering, chanting and laughing. It was a symphony of terror that seemed to come from the very walls of the cellar. The couple's screams were lost in the mountain's eerie silence. No one could hear them, and there was no one to help. They were alone, trapped in a nightmare from which there was no escape. The next morning, Black Hollow stood quiet and unassuming. The sun shone brightly, and the house looked like any other mountain retreat. There was no sign of the horrors that had taken place the night before. Simon and Mara had vanished. There was no trace of them, no clue as to what had happened. It was as if they had been swallowed by the house itself. But on windless nights, locals swear they hear two voices desperately whispering for help. The whispers are faint, but they are there, carried on the wind like a ghostly echo, lost forever in the mountain shadow. The legend of Black Hollow lives on, a chilling reminder of the unknown forces that lurk in the shadows, waiting to be discovered by the unsuspecting. The house stands as a silent sentinel, guarding its dark secrets, and those who dare to enter may never return.